This is Karen Billings from SIIA, and I am going to be sort of hosting today's webinar. Angel Scott, who is the coordinator and probably the person that you most have communicated with, has been losing her voice. So I'm going to ask actually Rihanna to start with her introduction, and then Kathy.
Thanks, Karen. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's CODiE Judge webinar. My name is Rihanna Collier. I'm Vice President of the Software Division here at SIIA. So for questions regarding the software categories, judging those particular products and services, I'm certainly here to answer any questions along with Angel. Karen?
Great. This is Kathy Green, the Sexton. I run the Content Division, and I'd like to extend my welcome to all of you as well. If you have any questions pertaining to the Content Division, the content portion of the CODies, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. And probably more germane to everybody on this call is prior to joining the SIIA, I was a nominee and a judge for many years. So I have been in your seat judging the CODies and certainly have that insider's view if you would, if we need that. Karen?
Thank you. So since Angel has pretty much lost her voice, I know that she's going to be responding to as many questions as she can in the chat box. You should see that in the lower left part of your screen. And she will be happy to answer questions and get back to you later, of course, as well. So we know we've got a good group here. We are recording it so that if there are some judges who particularly sign up over the next few weeks, they can listen to the recording, they can look at the slides, and we'll be able to sort of catch up with the rest of you. Let me just sort of go through the kinds of things that we want to have time to do today. One of the first things we're going to talk about, for those of you who have judged before, there's a few new things that we've done in 2014. Just do a very basic overview of how the whole judging process works, our timeline, and then we've listed some judges' tips for you that we hope will be helpful to you, and then of course a Q&A. And a lot of the Q&A will be, you can submit your questions down in the chat box. We'll be happy to answer them and make sure that everybody else also does hear the response. All right, so I think I'm going to turn it back over to Kathy to talk about what's new in the Content Division this year.
Well, great. We have, I think, a total of 28 categories. If you've judged in categories prior, you're familiar with them. But we do have two new categories that really were the suggestion from our member community. The first is the best scholarly publishing information solution. And for many of our members in the STM category, this was a new category that was requested to really judge many of the products and services that they're creating for their customers. The best content analytics solution really represents a trend that I'm sure all of you are familiar with big data and analytics. And there's a number of new solutions in the market that are really helping content providers, media companies, publishers, information services, software providers, to really help them understand their content and leverage those analytics in new ways. So those are the two new categories in content. I guess I'll hand it off to you, Rihanna.
Great, thanks, Kathy. You'll see there for software, we've got 3 new categories, and like Kathy, we do have over 28 overall categories in the software side of the CODies. These are the 3 new ones. However, I do want to point out that each year all the divisions do go through a very vigorous process to review all the categories. And I know, speaking for software, and I believe the others as well, many of the categories do get updated. So in addition to these 3 new categories in software, we have a number of returning categories that have been updated based on our review of those particular categories. So Best Asset Management Solution is actually not a new category for the CODies. It was removed moved a couple years ago, and we've brought it back per the request of some of the community that we've spoken to. Best Healthcare IT Solution is something we've never really tapped into the healthcare side of things, and again, following a request from some of our members. And same with Best IT Support and Support Services Solutions. So those solutions helping the IT departments themselves. So those are our 3 new categories, but like I said, if you have judged before and you're a returning judge for the same category you judged in the past, I do encourage you to take a look at those descriptions, as there may have been some tweaks and edits to them. Karen?
All right, thank you both. Yes, and for education, it looks like we have a number of new categories, and we do, but some of them are actually categories that we had to split into 2. Last year, our most popular category was the Best Personalized Learning Solution. We had more nominations there than we'd ever had in the past, so we actually split that into the Best K-12 Personalized Learning Solution and the Best Post-Secondary Personalized Learning Solution. And so those are 2 categories that have come over, but at the announced time, relatively new. The other, the real brand new ones are the Education Cloud-Based Solution and the Best Project-Centered Learning Solution, and the best use of video to support student learning. We, again, as the other division, has to reach out to a number of the judges and to the nominees and ask, was there a category you wanted to nominate in but couldn't? And in the case of the cloud-based solution, it turned out that we had not only education companies nominating for their cloud-based solutions in the software division, but they also won the CODiE there. So we realized it was about time to have our own cloud-based solution. The other thing that we did is we broke up the social media or best community, education community solution online into 2. And one is the best collaborative social media solution for educators, and then the other one is the best education community for students, because they are somewhat different, and we got a great number of nominations. And then we also refined the Best Mobile Learning Solution. Last year we got a number of nominations. This year we have refined it so that it has to be a native app that runs on a mobile device. And then the last thing we did is we changed our Best Learning Game or Simulation into 2. And one is the best learning game with sort of a short-term, short time frame type of game. And then the other is the more extension of a game-based curriculum solution. A lot of these games are meant to be used in a classroom over a period of time, sometimes throughout the semester. So that is why we are have changed some of those. It's pretty much refinement. And we do have a best virtual learning solution. David, if you see if you go to the categories under the CODiE website, you'll see the categories there for virtual online learning things, which I think where we would put MOOCs. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the judging experience, and I think the others will agree with me, and certainly Angel, but we haven't really made many changes. This is just sort of a refresher. Each of the categories have specific criteria that we've outlined, and then those will have rubrics that you'll be able to use when you judge. The judges will have the option of choosing between a live or pre-recorded demonstration. It sort of depends on what the company can offer. Some of them will be pre-recorded simply because it's going to be hard for them to actually meet and give you a live one during the time frames, because sometimes we have time frame issues. And then the other thing is that you'll get sometimes a full copy of the nominated product, or at least login information, since most of them now are being judged online. I don't know if Kathy, you remember this, but when you and I voted, I think, for some software and education products on CDs, we would get, this was probably 10 years ago, we would get this huge box of products shipped to us, which is much more logistically difficult than the providing login information now. Some of them have self-running CD demos, and some of them have some online demo access. So you will find out that information relatively soon after you are connected with your company. For the most part, we will assign up to 5 products to review in a category, and up to 5, at least I'll speak for education, and the other 2 can certainly chime in. But if it's a category, for example, such as a learning management system, or others which are pretty comprehensive, we try to give you fewer products because each one will take a longer time than, for example, a mobile app or a learning game. You'll also get access to the nominated product and then a recorded or live guided demonstration so you can really focus on the category that you've been selected for. Your scores will account for 80% of the final score. So you pretty much determine who the finalists are going to be, and then those finalists are going to be judged by our members. Here's an example of the sort of the judge form that you will get. Dan Gonzalez happens to be our IT director here, but he's decided he's going to judge a couple of different products, and this was pretty much a sample here. But I think, Kathy, I think you wanted to add something. So should I go back to a slide?
No, this slide is perfect. I just wanted to remind everybody, I know when you're judging, it's hard to judge and not think of all the other companies in the category and rank them against one another. But this form has been very carefully thought through and designed for you to really focus on each company that you're judging and try not to think of the others in the category. So judge the company. Are they achieving the given criteria that you're judging them on? Are they achieving it really well or not so well? And if you do that, then the scores will be very reflective of where the companies truly are in relation to one another. I know in the past sometimes people feel or have asked that, gee, should I rank the companies in a given category based on what I think? And that we don't recommend that at all. Just judge each criteria and that company's product based on that criteria, and everything will work out. And I'm sure Karen and Rihanna can chime in here. I know last year for the content CODies, we actually had a tie for a category, and that went down to 3 digits. So 1/1000th of a point went down to, and we still had a tie. So these scores are very, very important. I had one last point, which is you judges are also requested to make some comments. And I know when I was judging, it always took a little bit to be thoughtful about those comments. But please note that the nominees have access to the comments that you write down. So it's in everybody's best interest. I know I always try to be very constructive and try to give them some tips and just be as positive and constructive as possible, knowing that they would be potentially reading that review.
And this is Karen. I can sort of second the interest that the companies have in reading your comments, because it's one thing to get a score, but as you know, sometimes the scores or the grades are really not as interesting or helpful as specific comments. So when you make comments, know that they are going to be read and they're going to be very much appreciated. Rihanna, did you want to put a word in edgewise here?
Yes, and I'll just answer Chris's questions. Yes, the comments are anonymous. We don't share who stated which comments to the nominees, but they do have access to this.
Right. Perfect. Okay. So back to our judge form. This is something that you'll get again. Dan decided he wanted to judge 2 different categories, so he has a good number of products here. But if you get assigned to one category, you can assume 3 to 5, and I think that will work out quite well. I'm going to ask Kathy to talk about the timeline for her judges in the content division because they're on a little bit of an abbreviated schedule.
Yes. Our Information Industry Summit is our flagship conference for the division, and that is when we showcase the content CODies. That is at the end of January this year, January 29th and 30th. So that means that the judging is a little bit shorter and tighter time frame than the software and education focused CODies. So October 10th, next week, everybody who is participating in the content CODies will be receiving your assignments. And then between October 10th and December 6th is when you can coordinate and review the different products in your categories. I do suggest that everybody try and do it sooner than later. And I know when I was a judge, I would basically try and organize everything in my judging week. So I was in the judging mode, and I was in that content, the judge comment mode. And if I did it and organized it in a way that was fairly compact, I was much more efficient. It was much more efficient for me as a judge. So just put that out there for you. At the end of December 6th, that's when all the scores are due. So we will be chasing you right after Thanksgiving to make sure all your demos have been done and you've completed all the judging that you've been assigned. So that's the content CODies. Over to you, Karen and Rihanna, for education and software.
All right. Since I've been doing a lot more of the talking, how about Rihanna? Do you want to take them through the timeline for both of our divisions?
Sure. So as you can see, education and software has a little bit more time here. So you will receive your assignments for education and software categories on November 13th. And then our product review period will be November 13th to March 21st. So you'll see you've got a significant amount of time, but we do encourage you to get those demos scheduled early because it is difficult. We appreciate all of you have busy calendars, and so do the nominees. So to try and coordinate a time to do the demo that works for both the nominee and the judge, even if it's a month out, to get that scheduled as soon, or start that process as soon as you receive your assignments is going to make it easier down the road. So all scores are due for the software and education categories on March 21st. And again, similar to content, we will be chasing you the weeks before to complete those scores. It's important for us because following that, we have the SIA member judging that has to take place prior to our May conferences for software and education. Software takes place May 20th through 22nd in San Francisco. Karen, yours is?
Oh my goodness! I thought you had asked. It is. I think it's the week before. I want to say it's like the 12th or 13th or something.
Exactly, and that's where the CODies will be announced and recognized.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then Kathy's just noted that if anyone would like to come to judging the CODiE awards for the content division, you're welcome to come as our guest to the lunch. And I think that probably would work for all of us. We do like to have judge participation in everything that we do. We do also, at least speaking for education, we usually put the judges' names who've completed their judging requirements, of course, in the program for the CODiE Awards when we give them out at dinner. I think, do you do that, Rihanna? I think you do.
We do.
Okay.
Yep, and that's consistent for us. We highlight not only all the finalists, but also the judges who've participated. And then, as you mentioned, if you're judging a content CODiE, you can be our guest for the Content CODiE Awards ceremony, which will be January 30th at noon.
Mm-hmm. Great. All right. So just a few tips that Angel had listed out. Just to look at, review the judging form and the criteria that you're going to be evaluating products on. Please feel free to reach out to Angel during that time period. She's pretty much going to be sitting at her computer responding to emails and phone calls, which is very similar to what she's been doing the last 3 weeks because of the great amount of interest we've had in having products nominated. Everybody's nominating, checking to make sure they're in the right category. And so she's been very busy doing that, and pretty soon it'll just transfer to communication with the judges. Now, as Kathy mentioned before, please evaluate the products that you have according to the rubric. And that's very important because there are certain kinds of criteria that we really want you to be looking at and judging the product on its own merit and that against the rubric that we have provided. We need you to submit your scores after reviewing each product. Now, sometimes you can go in and you can, I think I'm right, Angel, you can go in and you can finish filling out the scores later. We know that people have looked at the product and they wait to score them until a little bit later. That's okay as long as you're on deadline. And then also to make sure that you've got the appropriate software and I think even hardware for some of these things, because for us, for example, if it's a native app to a mobile learning solution, you probably need to be looking at it on a smartphone or tablet or something. So we'll be trying to match as carefully as we can that way, but sometimes there are issues on that. So going on, a few more tips for you. When they're presenting the product to you, ask them questions if they don't tell you this, and we're giving some of the same tips to them, so hopefully they would. But if they don't, ask them why their product is important or is worth purchasing. Why is it special? What's unique about it? What really warrants a CODiE award? Because that is the best of a category, and see what they say. Also, when you're finished with your judging form, if you can provide any feedback to us, that's going to be great. And of course, feedback to the companies themselves. Also, check to make sure that you're getting the training, any user guides, online tutorials, all kinds of things so that you can get to know the product pretty well. And then check also, most of them will tell you, but if they don't, make sure that you know what your expiration date is for the login that they provide, because a lot of you will get a password, a special password, and we want to make sure that you get that product evaluated in time then before that expires. I think we've had some good questions here, and it's actually time for Q&A. So first of all, anything else from Rihanna or from Kathy that you might, in terms of answering questions in the chat box or things that you thought about that you'd like to bring up?
This is Rihanna, just quickly. I know at the very beginning we talked about the demos and them being either recorded or live. Just want to let the judges know that we do really encourage all the nominees to do the live demos. We feel that that's so much more valuable for both them and for you to be able to see the product live and answer questions. So hopefully between the nominee and the judge, you are able to schedule a live demo because it's much more worthwhile.
I'd like to underscore that. We even really encourage nominees to have a deck that they go over with you to really make sure that they hit on each of the key judging criteria and then go into a live demo. So that really is the best thing so that you can ask questions. There's another question about if people have not contacted you. If you have reached out and you've been unable to contact a particular company that has nominated, please reach out to Angel ASAP because she will make sure that gets resolved. So Angel can absolutely help you with any of those those issues.
So this is Karen. I was going to respond to David Coleman's first question, or at least an earlier one, about the government shutdown affecting any part of the CODiE Awards. And at least my personal response is that I don't think so. I think that the companies, particularly because they're located all over, their employers are working, their schools are operating. I think that we are just going to go on as pretty much as usual. I do know that there are effects going on right now, but in terms of getting your information so that you can be assigned to the best products, having the companies get that information to you, since so much of it is online, I think we're going to be okay. Does anybody disagree with that?
No, I agree.
No, not at all.
Good. Okay.
There's a question in here from Mark about guidelines regarding tweeting during the judging process. Of course you can tweet about, gee, I'm tweeting the XYZ category. I'm excited to see the demo of CODiE nominee XYZ. Keep it pretty generic. We do not recommend tweeting anything that would reveal what you're judging, how you're judging. So I hope that answers your question. Karen or Rihanna, any other guidance on that?
I agree. I would stay away from your thoughts, particularly on the product itself, but and just keep it generic about the process.
Yep.
Yes, and particularly if I think it helps to know that other educators or people that are following you that you are judging, and that gives CODiE some great visibility, which we appreciate.
Great. There's another question from Marion and Angel or Rihanna or Karen. Correct me if I'm wrong. Mm-hmm. I remember when I was a judge, I could save my comments and go back. So you can go in and save everything, and it will be there next time you log into the judging portal. So it's there. You can go back and you change it. Basically, the thing that you need to know is for the deadline. So the content deadline was December 6th, and then later for education and software, that's kind of the stop date of any of your edits, because that's what we'll take after the deadline. Hopefully that answers your question.
Great. Great. As Oren's question about scheduling, just getting feedback, to be able to give the feedback is just getting in touch with them. The nominees, I think the nominees are supposed to reach out to you as judges and set up a time to either give you a pre-recorded demonstration or hopefully to have a direct conversation. And if they don't, then again, as we said before, please contact Angel and just tell her that you've expected to sort of get started by now, and we'd like to make sure that you have plenty of time to judge, and if they don't contact you till close to the end, you won't have the time that you need.
Right. And my little tip here is block off some days. So it might be every Friday for a couple weeks, or maybe you want to blast everything into a week, but block out some times and let those people who are reaching out to you know what your slots of availability are. That'll be easier for them, and it'll help you manage all the different demos that you'll be receiving in a more efficient manner.
Great. And then Marianne has a note about taking a screenshot of the judging rubric just to make sure that she can be looking at it and be thinking about it while she is judging or coming back to it later to see what she's already said. So yeah, I guess that's okay. I mean, you need to do the best job that you can, and anything that you can do that will help you, I think, is fine. On the software section, taxonomy. Do you want to take that one, Rihanna, the one from Konstantin?
Yes. So for each category, if you've actually looked at each category has its own specific judging criteria, and that's really what we use. So from that judging criteria, there's been a rubric that's developed based on each one of those criteria. And then there's a scale of 1 to 5 for each criteria, and then it describes exactly where the product should fit under that criteria per which number score. Hopefully that makes sense.
Great. It makes sense to me, Chris. I've actually never really submitted a product, even though the people that I worked for, companies that I worked for in the past did. I wasn't directly responsible for that. I did do some judging, again, back in the days when we got all these CODiEs that we had to look at. So far, I think Angel has been busy responding to a number of the questions, and she will be happy to respond to more. I think we asked you today for about half an hour of your time. That was the time that was scheduled, so we really appreciate the fact that you have been with us today and have been able to listen. She will be posting the webinar, the actual audio with the slides on the website. We'll be sending that to you in an email. And the URL for the judging website, that will, yeah, Kathy?
I would say that'll be sent to you with your judging assignments. When those are sent out, those will come from Angel with all of that information and resources that you will need access to.
Yeah, Kathy, she just put some information there about judging. So
yep.
once we have you sort of, because a lot of people apply to judge different products, we select what we think are the most appropriate. And once you're in the system and it's a go, we will be in touch with you as often as we can. We hope to not send you too many emails, but the way to avoid all those emails at the end is to get your judging done pretty much on time. Any last words from all of you? I think this has been great, and I hope that Angel gets her voice back soon so that she can talk on the phone.
Well, this is Kathy. First of all, I'd like to thank Angel. She's just been tremendous in pulling all this information together. And even more importantly, I'd like to thank all of you, our judges. I know when I was a judge, I loved judging the CODiE Awards so I could see what all the great products that were out there, and I just always learned so much. And just know that we are so appreciative of your work and your expertise in judging each of your categories. So thank you all. And Rihanna, I don't know if you had any other comments.
I would just second that. I mean, the CODiEs has created this wonderful reputation for an awards program over the past 30 years, and it's really because of the judges. So we couldn't do it without you. So we thank you very much.
All right. So just notice on the last slide there is the hashtag for CODiE14. So if you are tweeting, go ahead and just let people know that you're judging and that we can still take some judges in many of our categories. So do help us with that visibility. And with that, I believe we will close this webinar. And thanks to Angel for organizing the slides and making sure that everybody was prepared today, and for all of the work that she's going to be doing with you all over the next, my gosh, almost 6 to 7 months. So thank you for joining.
Thank you. Please stand by.